Perfect. Since we're so many, we have to get a little bit tighter. Yeah, I think I will start right again, and maybe I will start with a question to Ingolf and Helena. So, what does industry needs? What do you see today as the biggest demand in terms of skill and in terms of degree levels as well?
Ladies first.
Oh, thank you. So actually, there are two sides of that. First, when you look at skills, you obviously need technical skills, right? You need actually understanding of quantum physics, quantum theory, all that wonderful stuff, right? But you also need to be able to apply it. So you need somebody technical who is also skilled in, let's say, hardware development, programming, right? So like knowledge of Qiskit, let's say, knowledge of C++, Python, all those things that we also need. But then you also need, this is the second part, the multidisciplinary skills, right? Somebody who is skilled in cryptography, somebody who is skilled in, well, let's say, environmental sciences and so on. So this is also on top of what we are speaking about, and this needs to be developed and then actually combined.
What do you think, Ingolf? Do you see it similar, or do you see something else that is needed to be maybe added in this list?
It's quite similar. I just like to divide it in two areas. The one area are those are technology providers, so providing systems, software, environments, and those who are the users at the end, so the industry. And those skills differ a little bit. So on both sides, we need in-depth quantum mechanics skills, so the math behind that, and how to translate problems into the languages of these systems. Then on the provider side, there we need the deep tech hardware type of skills and the operating systems, compilers, etc. And on the user side, we need more the skills in the software environment and how to translate problems into quantum specific solutions at the end. And there we need also what you mentioned, Helena, the industry knowledge. So automotive, banking, finance skill, translating then their problems into the quantum area. And these multidimensional skills are very rare. That's the biggest problem we have, actually.
Actually, if I may summarize, it's basically, when you launch a new product, let's say a CPU or QPU or whatever, right? It's nice to have it. You need people to develop that, but you also need to get somebody who can actually get the goodness out of that product. Otherwise, it's just potentially a pretty expensive door stopper, right? So you need actually somebody who can develop it and the other part to use it.
So what I hear is that very hard skills on the provider side, the software skills, and important that it's interdisciplinary, just to get the gist of it. Mr. Müssel, is that how you see it in BMBF as well? Or do you have maybe other insights from your observations?
Yeah, that's very much what we heard a lot from different talks that we had in the last few months, that these multidisciplinary skill sets are highly important. And I think that is one of the main challenges that we have to address and that we will try to address also.
Thank you. And Adrian, do you have maybe a bit more like global perspective? Do you think this is similar in Germany as it is in Europe? Do you have maybe from the research perspective an overview how it looks global-wide? Globally, meaning maybe countries who are involved in quantum technology.
So I would say globally, I mean, the same skills are probably needed. I mean, it depends, of course, on the ecosystem which is there. So when in a certain country there's no quantum computing hardware development, of course, these skills are maybe less needed in that moment. But in general, of course, you need the same skills. I would just make another point, like, I mean, we don't really know which hardware is going to win. So certain technical details are not clear yet. So of course, like, we need basic skills, but also like the general skills, how to work in a lab, like all these like general technical skills. to be able to develop the different hardwares in the future. So be able to adapt actually on the developments which are going to happen the next years.
That's an interesting point. And maybe going back to Q.ANT and Ingolf, you started quantum program in IBM. You've seen it all maybe from the beginning in Germany at least, how it all started. How do you think the skills or the need for skills have developed over the past, let's say, 10 years, or 10 years is maybe too much, through your experience?
Yeah, so starting in 2016.
Almost 10, yeah.
Yeah, almost 10 years, when IBM was announcing the IBM Q system. When I was running these client workshops, so what does it mean to the clients, to their products, to their solutions at the end, and how to get skills there, that was often a raised question. My answer was, just look in your organization and look on people who have studied physics or math, and most of them have a degree or a PhD in quantum mechanics, but you just misuse them as data scientists. So those skills are already there. You just have to use it. And then, over time, you have to develop them to use the environments, the systems, the operating system, like Qiskit or CRISP or any other type of system, to educate them. So those people are there, but you just have to develop them. Meanwhile, when I'm looking back, I was moving over to Fraunhofer, and we were looking into different Fraunhofer institutes to skills, to PhD students, to professionals who really driving forward all the programs which were coming from the European Commission or from Germany. We didn't have enough students, bachelor's or master students, really to fill up those. So the foundation is there with well-educated people, actually, from the past, which we can just swap over, but we need many more, and there the basic degree levels have to really to start with specific programs to develop these young people, which we can then move over in the next 5 to 10 years to jobs.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point about students. Helena, you have a very good insights about students. Are they interested enough anyway in quantum technologies? Is it hard? Yeah.
We can ask them. They're
Please
actually
do.
sitting here. Thank you. This is a wonderful question. We started the first Germany's first study program on quantum, I think 3.5 years ago.
Yep.
By now, and have released a few of our alumni already out in the field. And they're doing great things, and we are actually working on getting more of them. So I started at the time with about 10 or 12 students, a really small portion, and we are now at around 40. I will not increase that because I'm focused on quality. So the thing is, just as Ingolf said, in the beginning, it was a research topic, quite clearly, right? So we needed PhDs in physics, math, maybe, but now we need more. We are not only developing, but we are in the process. So the hardware, the systems are maturing. So we're in the process of actually being able to use that stuff. And for that, we need a different skill level, right? Yep. And here we have two things, two pillars. One is skilling them up, the existing engineers, get them the tools, get them updated so they can actually do something for quantum. And the other one is actually building new programs. We started with a master's where we admit or allow students in from engineering background, for physics background, math background, informatics, and build them up, make them better, okay? But we are actually right now in the process of thinking about starting bachelor's programs as well, because this is so much more that in terms of skills that our students need, the future workforce need. Actually, I don't care if they go in academia or industry, skills are same, right? So we need more. The 40 I'm building, this is not going to be enough. We need more.
You mentioned you can only do 40 students maximum. how would you say the interest developed? Did you get more applications, more interested people, or did it maybe get a bit lower in the past years, maybe when the quantum kind of showed it might take a few years more than we originally thought a couple of years ago? How did it develop?
Yes, so I cannot say that the interest decreased from the students. We still get about 1,500 applications for those 40 seats. So the interest is there and competition is there. So we only take the best and the brightest. So lucky you if you can get them. So the interest is there. And also what I experience, interest is there even in earlier stages. So kids are asking questions, and this is amazing. So what I think is we need to invest in that part to get them on the right track, to get them infected with the virus of curiosity, with the virus of informatics. There's a lot of fun there.
I think it brings me directly to you, Mr. Müssel. 1,000 students. Do we have place for them all? Do we have possibilities in Germany to cover the interests and to serve the needs or serve the interests of these students who want to study quantum? What is your assessment currently?
I think there currently, of course, because the field has been growing so fast, there is still a lot of work to do on that topic, actually, and this is also why we are currently looking in that field with a strong emphasis, because we know that we need to do more, and there's a lot to be done along the whole biography. As you mentioned, I think it's important both to get students in high school attracted to that fascinating field, but also to have new offerings for students, but also for training on the job, for people that have the right background in some sense, but still need either quantum mechanics, or on the other hand, perhaps have a quantum background, but need engineering skills or programming skills. Yeah, we need to strengthen these activities and do more, and we're currently trying to do that, but also, of course, not just looking at the student side. We want to make it easier to get a good view on what is actually happening in the German education landscape, because I think that is quite diverse due to the different responsibilities and actors. It's not so easy to see what kind of offerings there are for those different interests.
I like to step in here because we have to really to start at school. And IBM Germany was giving the German Informatik Prize. And the Heisenberg Gymnasium in Düsseldorf was getting that. And that gymnasium is very prominent for robotics. But they were asking, that was 2017, 2018, something like that. They were asking for quantum education for their school kids. I was there, just giving us a short presentation, but then we figured out that at school, linear algebra is not anymore taught by the teachers. It's not anymore part of the education plan. And really, here we have to start. The basic foundation in math is laid, that the universities really can start with that. And that's not only in North Rhine-Westphalia, that's in Baden-Württemberg, I think in Bavaria still is linear algebra on, but we really have to start in every gymnasium with math, with linear algebra, with physics on that, so that people are also attracted to go to the studies at the end.
Yeah, if I may just quickly add, so robotics we've done great. Actually, a great job in getting the interest, getting the ball rolling with the kids, right? So the gymnasium at my hometown is the home of the robotic boys, right? They won the worldwide competition, so they are really good guys. And this has been going on for years. We now need to do the same for quantum, right? Invest the same amount, get them interested, get them on track, right? And that brings me to a very, challenging topic. My daughter came in the K-12, right? So she is gearing for Abitur. She's the only girl in Leistungskurs Informatik. and this is depressing, right? So we need also to kind of address that issue, and it is an issue, to be honest.
Does any of you, I'm looking more in your direction, how do you see it? How can we address this issue? I think it's the topic of every panel of education on any hardware or topics, and I'm really personally a little bit frustrated that we still speak about it in 2024. Do you have some observations? Does it get better? What can we do better? How can we address the broader audience?
Yeah, okay, many points in there. So I feel like I agree to most of that. I mean, we said here, people need to understand, okay, what is already there in terms of quantum education. So some kind of cooperation between different players in the field. On the academic side, on the school side, I mean, just look on how we work in Germany, federal system of education. It's very hard to do so, but like some connecting of initiatives, I think is very important. You said about awareness. So whom do we reach actually with what we talk about? Who's here in the room? Like which kind of academic backgrounds do you have? Like every of your relatives or kids, I mean, they know about quantum due to you. And we talked about university students or STEM students from certain schools. I mean, they gonna know somehow what quantum is. But how do we reach actually people which are not reached yet, and who are these? And I mean, just look on, I don't know, families from migrant history or so. So people which have different socioeconomic backgrounds. Like they are maybe not by themselves going to enter the field, but maybe their kids in the future. So I would say a general awareness of the field, that more people get aware what is happening actually is necessary to get other people into the STEM lessons in school, but also in university. So I would say that is very important. And by that, actually, we tackle another problem we have, that right now you said, like, a lot of PhD in physics, a lot of the students are male. So we have like white male academic background, so like a certain group which is right now in the field and actually giving direction what is happening. And I would say that is definitely a problem, and especially on the long run. So how do we get other people involved, and how we make it interesting and accessible, I think is very, very important.
Good example is in 2 weeks we do have the quantum effects in Stuttgart. It's a big fair with a conference program, etc. But there's a portion where we invite schools, where we educate and make it attractive, math, physics, but also quantum for schools and for young people. They can try, there are quantum games and stuff which might be interesting for that. So opening up these type of events to schools, to be there, to get a flavor of what does it mean, to get the feeling of the vibrations, that might help here.
It's a good idea. Adrian, do you have some ideas? Who else? I mean, for example, we spoke about universities, schools, like all this more or less traditional organization and structure. But there are also other organizations out there. Do they play a role in bringing different audiences? How do you assess that?
Yeah, I would definitely say yes. I mean, we did a study on NGOs working in quantum education, and we looked like so why are they doing this, and what is driving them? And I mean, they all want to like provide quantum education, obviously. But a lot of them, especially the ones from the Global South, but also some in Global North, said they want to create opportunities for so far underrepresented groups. So they want to address, like, for example, female students, but also like from different backgrounds. And by doing so, I mean, obviously they address this workforce problem. They get other people involved, which are otherwise maybe wouldn't be involved on one side. And the second thing I could mention here, they also provide a community, so they connect actually students, but they're also students between universities. So they do this overreaching cooperational aspect, like we also talked about a bit. So I would say, I mean, they're one player, they're complementary to our institutionalized education system, but they also can play a role to bring new people in, to motivate them, and yeah, also connect them.
And do you think their involvement in the partnerships is with a traditional system is sufficient at the moment, or would it be more like support there on that side?
I mean, I could always like call for support. Okay, it depends a bit like where you look. So they're all student-led or mostly student-led and in their free time. So I mean, they just do this voluntarily, out of goodwill or whatever. So I mean, to connect them a bit more to institutions definitely is a good idea. And I don't know if the BMBF has an idea how to support this more. Probably, but I would definitely say it's good that we have them and that people get aware about quantum by them. Yeah.
Helena, do you have something to?
Yes, so there are two things to that. First one, I'm extremely proud that my program is really aligned with industry and academia, right? So from the beginning, from the day one, our students are actually encouraged to work with academic partners, to work with industry partners. So we invite for guest speeches. We have joint projects with companies like Microsoft, IBM, Intel, you name it, we are working with them, right? So basically to get exposure to students and the other way around, right? This is the one. But the other thing, and this is a bit of a dark side, in my opinion, there are plenty of courses around, right? And they're popping up. But there is an issue of potential vendor lock kind of situation, right? I think you mentioned at this point, we just don't know which technology will end up on top, right? So right now, we need to democratize this kind of, to make this free and open, regardless on what technology actually wins in the end. And this is challenging, I think. You know, I only get like 40 students I can influence, or more, but this is what I can contribute. But the corporations, the big organizations, they influence more, but in just one direction. So this is potentially a bit of an issue, and I hope for your help, actually.
Do you have ideas?
I actually would put it a little bit more general. I think it's not only quantum computing, but it would be helpful to have a little bit of broader quantum education, which covers whole quantum technologies, because I think the skill set that is needed is quite similar for all the different branches. So this is our aim, actually, to have quantum experts and not quantum computing experts, or quantum computing experts for a certain platform. So definitely for the concepts that we would like to have developed, that should be more general quantum concepts and not very specific ones.
And very important, there's not one technology which will win the race. We will have different type of technology for different type of problems. And at the end, we will have system in a hybrid mode where different type of technologies will build in. So I'm looking to all of the technologies we are actually having, and we have to build people who really can use over the different technology areas, systems, and can program those at the end. That's very important. So not the big one quantum computer at the end. We will have also small IoT type of systems which are integrated. We have sensing areas, we have communication areas, we have to bring in different type of technologies in a hybrid quantum computer. So there's so many to do. Just to focus who will win the race at the end, that will not be the case in the next 20 years, I would say, at the end.
Ingolf, a question to you, what Mr. Müssel mentioned about this distinction between general quantum technology knowledge and still the need, for example, for software developers. How can we bridge this gap? So, and also additional question, do you also see the risk of lock-in to specific vendors in the education?
I would say if you are starting with a certain quantum programming platform, you can really easily bridge from one to the other. And we are talking here about software layers typically. So the base layers, the physical layers with error correction and everything else below that, those are specialists. Those are specialists for that type of platform. and that will be the minority of technical people. The broader, bigger amount of people is needed above. And we did have on Tuesday an interesting discussion in Wiesbaden on the Informatica in Wiesbaden from the Gesellschaft für Informatik. And there in Gesellschaft für Informatik we do have a quantum group. And this is typically by informatics, computer scientists. And Robert Wille and Jörg Lessig and people, we discussed what does it mean for those type of people and what can the computer science people provide to the quantum people at the end. And there was a common sense about software support has to come out of computer science. How to build this type of system has to come out of computer science. We can translate many things from the classical IT, from classical computer system to the quantum system, and we do not have to invent the wheel again in the quantum computing environment at the end. So the computer science people really can support the physics and math people on the base level. And there are a lot of good concepts which we can hand over to those people, and processes and workflows and how to build up these type of systems. And that's something what I like to personally look for in the next couple of months and years, to bring both sides together and to work closely together, that the computer science people learn quantum and the physics people adopt the methods from the computer science side.
Do you see it similar, Helena?
Yeah, so looking in the past, let's say, start with the HPC, which is closely related, right? Who is running HPC systems? See, it's usually a physicist who did his PhD on the system and was too slow to run away. So basically, he stayed in HPC. And this kind of describes the reality. For quantum, it works kind of similar. But now we need to remember the physicists are not ideally the best people to develop codes.
Yeah.
They're great, awesome people, and I know physicists have or say they can do everything, right? But really you need some special skills, and you need computer scientists. And this is what we actually thought when building our program, for example, that we need skills from kind of more fields than just one specific one. It's not enough to be a physicist. It's not enough to be a computer scientist. You need to make it a bit broader to actually be able to address it.
So it sounds like we don't necessarily need the specialized master programs just on quantum. Like we kind of need to sprinkle a little bit of quantum computing in all the other fields. Is that
a flavor?
It's a flavor, yes. Yeah. So, for example, I told you in the beginning, we accept students with physics, math, engineering, and informatics background, like 4 areas. And then we have to make sure that the physicists received additional training on computer science topics. Yeah. And the computer scientist gets some additional quantum topics on that. And this is a lot of work. This is why I limit to 40, right? But this is what needs to be done. Not everybody is the same, but we need skills that are very diverse. And this is an issue. And this is why I say, yeah, we can build it up, very time-consuming, very expensive, but we also can upskill. We can take this physicist and give him the tools to be able to actually become a quantum computer expert. And this is possible, and I think in the industry this is happening a lot, because obviously we don't have enough quantum computing expertise out there. So this is born out of necessity, but I think it's working. And now we need to upgrade actually with the kids that we build up from scratch, from the bottom, bring them up, and then bring them together.
Yeah. And that's a good example for the HRLS in Stuttgart. 25% of the funding is coming out of the industry. That means also that Stuttgart and Professor Resch was building up a specific education program for these engineers to run HPC systems, so to use them at the end. And that's one of the best programs really to upskill people who are in this job using HPC system to develop their products for their companies further and to make the best use out of HPC system. And the same effort we need also for the quantum arena.
What I a little bit hear from you, there are like a lot of, or quite a few, some great initiatives, also regional ones. How can we bring it a little bit broader? Because the demand is much bigger than can be covered. Maybe ideas from that side of the panel. Who wants to start?
I can start on that. Like, I mean, we heard there are a lot of good ideas in education, like many examples, and I would like to stress a bit the point. BMBF is doing a great job actually last years in terms of funding different kind of projects. I know local initiatives, etc., NGOs. I would like to see more cooperation between them and find out a bit what is working, what is not working. And I don't know, there's a network, Q.ANT. They work on the academic side, people from different physics education research institutes, they work together and exchange ideas. And they also do this on their free time, kind of. So I would like to see a bit more, I don't know, this kind of community building and cooperation, and also together with industry, what is working, what is needed, that this gets like more support, I don't know, out of industry, out of politics, etc. And just an example, I mean, in the US, they work on Q12 education system, so Q instead of K12. So they even there was 50 states. I mean, they're able to somehow think about this. And I mean, like here we have so many good ideas, but somehow the bigger picture sometimes is missing, I feel. So I don't know what's the best way to do so, but like I would like to stress that.
I think Bavaria started it, I think, 2 years ago. The ministry reached out to professors to help build up the curriculum for K-12 and above.
Yeah, and then
it's starting, but it's too small.
And then what is needed, I would say, is then okay, Bavaria talks with whatever Nordrhein-Westfalen, and they together think like, okay, did that work with you or not? So the best out of the federal system, and not like everyone is like doing this.
So we do have so many good initiatives in Germany, but those are not synchronized. We do have Bitkom, the working group for quantum. We do have QTAG, the industry, the big industry. We have QUIC, the European initiative. We have the Quantum Alliance, that's the academic initiative. But those guys are not really talking to each other. So we really have to bring the government, federal, state government, and those initiatives together, sitting on one table and laying out a German-wide, European-wide strategy.
Herr Müssel, a lot about partnerships, a lot of bringing initiatives together. What are BMBF thoughts on that? What could be the role of BMBF to really establish sort of this exchange and maybe establish a certain not standardized, but sort of an idea of standardized program for schools and education in quantum?
Of course, that is quite a difficult topic, because these topics are the responsibilities of the states. But still, I think that the role of the federal government can be some kind of, not coordination, but really bringing people together, exchanging the many good ideas that are being developed, and perhaps also stimulating new initiatives to develop concepts, also with third-party funding, of course, because, for example, one of our main ideas of the funding is to bring together industry and academia to have these collaborations, to develop concepts that are actually useful for the industry, but also to get an exchange between the different actors and between the different concepts that are developed. And of course, as I said, it's a quite diverse landscape, and I think we we need more clarity and also probably more connections between the different programs.
More industry in a BMBF programs, let's call it like this. Maybe. You want to add something?
Yeah, no, I just thought a kingdom for an intelligent octopus, you know, to kind of connect all the dots. But that would be brilliant because we are, as you said, we are spending so much time and effort in reinventing the wheel all the time. And this is frustrating.
Definitely, yeah.
I have one question. It may take a bit long to answer, but I want to go back to you, what you said, to have an exchange on what works and what not. How can we know what works and what not? How can we assess the effect of programs?
I actually wanted to comment that as well, like, because I mean, I would like to see cooperation and like a big idea. Okay, that is quantum education, but of course we don't know what's going to be like the skills totally in the next 10 years. So somehow between have some kind of boundary and like community, they work on it, but leave the room open for some shift still. So I mean that is very important. And I mean, I can't tell what's the right solution, definitely not. I mean, what we do is technology assessment. So we try to assess actually how the technology could develop, which kind of paths are there, which kind of visions are there, and we work on that. But I couldn't tell this is the skill now, because like that's not. I feel like we need to create the system where this can develop in. So
this flexibility is allowed to.
Yeah.
So this is actually quite important. I think this cannot be a one-off.
Exactly.
This is the point. You need some consistency because looking at the programs I developed, you need to each semester reevaluate. Okay, what's coming up, what's popping up on the market, in the industry. Talk to partners. Okay, what do you need to teach the kids right now? And I can guarantee it's different today than it was a year ago, and it will be different today than it in 2 years. And we need consistency in funding as well. We know how fickle that is sometimes. So we need to build it up. It will be independent at some point, but it needs a little bit more push, I think.
It definitely is a priority for the ecosystem development, and this is, of course, why it won't be a one-off thing, but this is a continuous effort.
Yeah.
So we're now approaching the end of the discussion. I think we tackled a lot of problems which maybe each one deserves its own panel discussion. Maybe just to summarize, what do you, each of you would just name me 3 key elements to ensure that the demand of the quantum industry that is also growing increasingly in Germany, in Europe, will be covered. Just 3 elements that are, in your perspective, are essential and critical. If not 3, 1 is enough.
So let's start. Skill is very important, and skills over many dimensions. So industry skills, technology skills, programming skills. So you have at least 2 or 3 different types of skills really to run that. Then cooperation between all parties. So research, technology providers, and users to define really what's needed on short term and on long term. And third, to get that community running with long-term funding out of the European and German government. Long-term means more than 3 years. A perspective to have for those guys who are really developing and investing in those areas, it's taking more than 3 years to develop something.
Thank you. Helena?
So for me, that would be communication, which we just talked about. We need to do better, right? Second one is stable funding. So that again is something without which we cannot really do our job properly. And the third one is communication in the way of communicating quantum status to the broader audience. Because what I am a bit afraid of is this drop in quantum winter because the expectations are so inflated. So we need to bring it down kind of to a realistic level. And this is where we kind of suck right now. Sorry.
So 3 is really little for that, because I
Okay.
think that there are more than 3. But yeah, first one is what we talked about. We need to educate more of those multidisciplinary experts. The second point we didn't talk about today, but I think it's also important to think about how we can attract more international talent and keep it in the country. And the third point is to really start early on with awareness in school and attract people early on into the field.
Thank you.
Yeah, and while agreeing to all what you said, actually, so I just stress like the awareness part, because I would say, yeah, get a broader audience involved, set actually reasonable narratives. So between like overhyping and this Feynman quote where you say no one's understanding quantum, I would say this is, yeah, nonsense in a sense. So something in between. I would say we need to set a reasonable narrative, show the opportunities to the people. That they could enter this field as well and make it interesting for everyone somehow.
So I hope you all understand your tasks now to bring quantum to the broader audience. I thank again my guests here, and big round of applause for the guests.